So the first question comes from Ivan Todorov. Ivan founded and sold a digital marketing and product business. He was the VP of digital strategy for electric car company Fisker, and he's now founder and CEO of a very cool company called Vibes and Logic. It's a marketplace for immersive music experience using AI visualizations. Ivan is coming to us from San Francisco, and he's got a great question. So let's bring him on. Ivan?
Hi, Reid. It's a pleasure to meet you, and thank you so much for everything you're doing for entrepreneurs worldwide. So my question is, as tech advances enable the expansion of metaverse and Web3 innovations, and new startups will eventually and inevitably bump up against established businesses, what advice do you have for entrepreneurs who face a David versus Goliath journey, and how do you prepare for it, and how do you know if you're ready to take on a giant?
Well, great question. Almost all entrepreneurs do end up facing, if you have the sufficiently ambitious goal, a David versus Goliath situation, and it's a question of when, not if. And part of what you have to do is the fundamental kind of thing is you've got to try to set the sequence of battlefields that you're going to be in to be the ones that you have an advantage on, because there's a number of ones where the Goliaths naturally have the advantage. They've been, X years, decades of brand building, X years, decades of customers, X years, decades of product development, et cetera, et cetera. And so you end up with if you try to attack them on their, the disruptive thing on their strengths, then you're going to be hosed. And so part of the thing that in technology enables the new startups to launch is because you get, the classic Clay Christensen innovator's dilemma, which is the battlefield is changing, the market's changing, customer expectations are changing, the cost at which you can provision a service or product, the quality of that service or product, the way you get that service or product to your customer changes. And then you have a bunch of opportunities for startups. But those startups have to use what are their unique advantages. Now, there's a bunch of things that structurally startups have as advantages over big companies, despite the fact they don't have a huge war chest. They haven't been hiring employees and have a great, smart set of people that have been working there for years, et cetera. One is speed, and it's speed across all levels. It's not just speed at kind of raw execution. Hey, we're going to work 80 hours, 100 hours a week, et cetera. But it's also speed of hiring, speed of decisioning, speed of learning, speed of judgment of product market fit, speed of judgment of what product market fit goes. Of course, obviously, since mentioning books, split scaling, is part of that of how all the places where speed matters. But then another one that's really key is risk, because large companies, generally speaking, have a very difficult time taking risks because they usually have assets, brand, relationships that they're protecting. They have a group consensus process so that, if they're going to take a risk, somebody who's in a managerial or executive role will question that risk. So it's hard for them to do, hard to move quickly. So one of the things you look for most often when you're in a startup is you look for which risks are things we'll learn from, possibly make a huge advance on, possibly get a differentiated product go to market, a differentiated scale product market fit in order to do that. And can we take those risks, and whatever those risks might be for us, because we'll do them, we'll learn from them, we'll engage. Obviously, risk is always concerning. You always try to experiment, try to do it smaller first as a way that you operate. And then, I think the kind of the last thing that is within this kind of quick summary structural advantages that startups have is that most often, now it depends a little bit on where you're competing with the Goliath. So for example, you're going in to compete with Google on search, or you're trying to compete with Microsoft on Office, or you're trying to compete with Amazon on either the retail store or Kindle or AWS, et cetera. That they're very motivated. This will be the 3 to 7 things that the entire exec staff is focused on. But more often than not, there's this kind of American expression in a breakfast, are you the chicken, e.g. the eggs, or the pig, e.g. the bacon? And one of them is you're kind of optionally in it, e.g. chicken's still alive with the breakfast. Pig is completely committed and is completely in it. And if this large business this is not their most central thing. Usually the heart of the business is not really fully in it. The heart of the team that's competing with you is fully in it. But as you begin to maneuver, that team can usually not get their company to maneuver as strongly and aggressively as you can, as long as you can bring your advantages to bear, the new technology, the risk that you're taking, the speed at which you're executing. And so you can then go compete with one of these giants in an area that isn't as central to them, that it's on the CEO's short list of this is what my company is about. And that's kind of the arc for all of the Davids out there, and to some degree the Goliaths who are plotting this out as to what the contention and combat looks like.
Wow, thank you so much. This was really wonderful, very very helpful, and yeah, I think it's a great strategy to play where it's risky, because these senior executives, like you said, it sounds like they really want to protect their reputation within those organizations, and I can take risks where they can't, and yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you, and thank you for participating. Thank you for being here.
Reid, as usual, you've given me something new, memorable. I mean, I get your strengths, your risk, and your speed. But chicken versus pig, I didn't see it coming. But I'll remember it, and I hope everybody else does too. All right.
Before we come to the next item, I have to ask you, Reid. I need you to give me like the 30-second replay: chicken versus pig. Do I want to be the chicken or the pig?
The chicken.
You kind of prefer to be the chicken because you're not all committed, but when you're in a competition, when you're in the pig, you're really committed. So the point is that you're evaluating who will actually go the extra mile in the competition. And when you're in the David versus Goliath scenario, if you're competing against a large company and the large company is not that committed, they're chicken committed, not pig committed, you have an edge because you're going to go the extra mile or kilometer or whatever the appropriate measure, parsec, for those people who are more science fiction nerds. You're going to go the extra distance where they will not.